Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Kawasaki Versys X300 and what we can do to help strengthen up the factory or genuine Kawasaki crash bar. I bought my Kawasaki and immediately just thought to buy a crash bar for it, so the first one available to me without really doing any research was the genuine Kawasaki crash bar. As it turns out, it's not such a really strong or great design. It's only 2 points of contact, one of which is up underneath the headlight, and there's a thin walled tubing cage underneath there that can get twisted if you happen to set the bike over or drop the bike over. So we're going to just be taking a look at what it's going to take to get something else going here. The crash bar hooks up under here. This is rather thin metal, thin flat steel stock. It does use M12 bolts here, or the heads are M12, but where it mounts up underneath here too is just a light duty cage that holds the headlight in this assembly. So this is a bad design to have one of the two only contact points here. The other one is a valid one, which it goes up inside here and makes contact with the frame. And most of the crash bar designs use that point. The other better designs also use the front top engine M10 bolt. And I plan on doing that with a kind of non-conventional way. I did make one good purchase, good decision. I went with the T-Rex heavy duty skid plate, and I've got another video up showing that the one weakness in this is the fore and aft resistance of movement. Several have on the forums have mentioned that their skid plate works its way back, or if you hit something, it goes against the headers, against your exhaust pipes, which is not good. That's what we're trying to protect. So I have another video up for a fifth brace that I'm using for the center stand frame M10 bolt right here on the left side of the bike, and that's I'm using a flat brace and bending it up, and you have to watch the video, but real simple to do. So it adds a fifth M10. So this skid plate has got really beefy, almost 1/4 inch thick steel, four of them, and the mirrored pair is on the other side. 4 of these real beefy solid steel braces that come down to a real thick, I think it's a 4 millimeter thick aluminum pan or skid plate here. So this is really good. So what I plan on doing is attaching my bars here to the skid plate's front solid steel bracket with only really 2 parts and some bolts. What I've got here is a 4-inch by 5-inch solid steel, real thick and beefy. It's just a corner brace, and then this other part is it's just meant to attach any kind of auxiliary lights, LED lights, off-road lights onto a bar, and it comes with a very convenient step-down rubber gaskets. There's a choice of several. So I just kind of quickly put this together with I think this is an M8 bolt that I just happen to have around here. So this is going to be beefy, but we're going to just attach this onto my Kawasaki genuine Kawasaki crash bar, and we're going to attach 2 M6 bolts onto the flat portion of the solid steel T-Rex skid plate brace with this brace. So that's the goal, and in the next segment here you'll see some progress, hopefully. Before I install the new braces and the Oxlite grip around the existing genuine Kawasaki crash bar, I want to show you the amount of flex in this thing with just one significant attachment point. Hopefully this camera will catch it. I'm holding the handlebars, and I'm just going to grab onto the crash bar and just pull up and down, kind of like if you'd hit it on the ground. You can just see the amount of flex is excessive. That's what we're working on. So we'll get to the installation part here. I do have to take the T-Rex brackets off the bike. I was going to try not to do that, but we're going to do it so I can use a drill press to do more precision work with the drilling of the holes and tapping of the holes. I've done some of the assembly of the new brackets to the old brackets. Required some M6 holes, and I went to the extra step of tapping the threads into the T-Rex bracket, so the M6 bolts will actually thread through, and I'm still going to use a lock nut on the back side of that. This is what we're looking at now. This here is the engine bolt part up in this side. This comes down to the skid plate, and then this comes out and wraps itself around and tightens up against the genuine Kawasaki crash bars. So far I've not had to use a whole lot of tools to do the tapping. I bought this DeWalt set. It turns out that this is pretty handy to chase threads. When you take your fairings off, sooner or later you're going to booger up some threads. It seems like those welded on nuts are, I don't know, they're pretty soft metal or something. Or they're just maybe low quality, or they're distorted because when you weld on little nuts, they're going to take on some warpage. And anyways, just to have a nice tap and die set, this was like 34 bucks I think at Home Depot, and it's perfect. It's like M3 through M7. Couldn't ask for any more because your bike has got a ton of that. The other tools I'm using here, of course, is just some T-handled M4, M5, and the T-Rex large brackets have an M8 on them. I think that's all. I tried to capture the dimensions on the bike for the new bracket, and it turned out that I was still off by a tiny bit, and I had to ovalize one of the holes on the new bracket. So you can probably expect something like that. But I did have access to a small little drill press, and that made this job pretty simple. This here is the main M10 bolt that goes across in front of the engine, and I'm going to be reassembling all this next here. So maybe one or two more segments. Final assembly of our extra braces that I'm putting on the factory crash bars, and final thoughts on the skid plates that are out there on the market. I think there's only really one that makes any sense. It's one that I just happened to research and buy. It's the T-Rex heavy duty skid plate. I'm not a T-Rex employee. I just noted that was the only one that doesn't use any of the bracketry that goes in turn to the oil pan, which is a fragile aluminum casting that has little screws on ears that kind of stick out around the perimeter of it. And it seems like everybody else with their skid plates takes the easy way out and uses those original brackets that held that plastic below the engine. So the oil pans are not engineered to hold skid plates and even those plastic little lower cowls. I think that's really stretching it there. But skid plating, with the bracketry that goes over to the oil pan, it's just a bad idea. So we're done with the install, and it only took two parts. One part is just a 4-inch by 5-inch L bracket. It's pre-drilled. I didn't have to drill any holes in any of this stuff other than the original T-Rex heavy-duty skid plate bracket here. I had to put 2 holes in that so I could run my two flange head or flange bolts M6s here that just go along the same length of it. And then I use these aux lights or auxiliary light. You know, it's just a round grommeted bracket with a hole, and I used just happen to have what I needed here, a couple of fairly short M8 bolts that are again flange headed, and then just these two screws that hold it all together. So we saw what happened when I grabbed the bar prior to these extra supports, and how the thing really wobbled, especially up here near the head tube, you know, or goes into the headlight frame or cage up there. I haven't cleaned the bike up yet, but it's got a couple little smudges. But now with this on here, the results are beyond my expectations. I'm going to grab the bike and hold the handlebars again and try to make it move at all. There's zero movement, absolutely zero movement. This is so much more robust probably than anything else out there now, even the T-Rex bars, because they go to the same two parts. That might be a second alternative if you manage to buy that. This I just happened to buy when I bought the bike, and I didn't know just how thinly you know, supported it was. But now there is zero movement. That is incredible. With my final thoughts, if you have the genuine Kawasaki crash bars, I would definitely opt for the T-Rex heavy-duty skid plate. And then I'll give you some part numbers here. These are just off Amazon, just two part numbers off Amazon. A couple of M6 bolts that I have. I bought a whole kit off Amazon. These are actually for, I think, like children's furniture assembly. They come in all different lengths, and they're actually a very nice, flat, large-headed, like a flange bolt. They work out great for all the stuff I'm doing to my bike. And then I just happen to have a couple of shorter flange bolt M8s, M8 threaded bolts, and then this bracket here, or grommeted bracket, and an L bracket. That's it. So anyways, have a good day, and see you on the next one.